10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Whack Whack Attack. Today is February 21st, and I've got a whole weekend's worth of updates coming to you. However, with the first story, I'm going to approach it from a slightly different angle compared to what I might have done. And the reason for that is because I want to be careful about how I am giving oxygen to certain people and how I kind of want to avoid that. So I'll kind of be talking around the issues that the person has mentioned and only use their name when I kind of have to. But this was related to some messages that were posted on Twitter about Rocket Pool's ODAO and how it's a vector of centralization and control and attack. And the information was presented in a very strong sense and kind of like borderline fuddy sense, basically, because it removed nuance, it removed any kind of detail, it removed any kind of bigger picture. So I want to talk to a couple of people who were pointed out in some of these, like, I want to say attacks. The first one was Fizz. So I wasn't going to mention this at all, but because a couple of the people that I respect so much kind of responded to it directly, I'm going to talk about their responses. I'm going to talk a little bit about like the perspective from the community as well. So let's get started. So Fizz says, it's against my better judgment to respond to this Twitter dude's FUD, but whatever. You all ought to know by now that I'm not secretive or ashamed of my work. He says Rocket Pool's RPL is a utility token. It represents a bond and an insurance system as a backstop in the Rocket Pool system. It also acts as an incentive token for development, governance, and ODAO. This has been the design since the Fire Eyes tokenomics of 2020 or whenever. The Oracle DAO are about 16 nodes who monitor creation of new mini pools on Rocket Pool, determine if they are valid mini pools. If they are valid mini pools, then they connect 16 Ether from the deposit pool with an operator, and the operator runs a mini pool. By the tokenomic design and smart contract implementation, the ODAO gets 15% of Rocket Pool's emissions, equally split between the members. The platform needs this screening process, and it's wise to choose aligned actors who want to decentralize the chain to oversee the process in a maximally decentralized, albeit centralized way. The ODAO is not limited in size, and I have advocated internally and externally for it to grow to a more representative size. Here's the magic. When the home operator spins up a mini pool, it's an individual contract that they have complete ownership over. This is the decentralization feature of Rocket Pool, that mini pools are independently operated validators controlled solely by the node operator with no ongoing intervention from Rocket Pool except that they abide by the smart contract rules in the original agreement when the mini pool was created. To give nuance, this means that after a mini pool validator is created, Rocket Pool could completely disappear and that operator could continue to run the validator forever as an independent entity. This is why Rocket Pool is decentralized. It has very little to do with the RPL token, except that the RPL token is built into the rewards tokenomics. The RPL token has been around for years. I have them because I've been obsessed with any project who will bring greater decentralization to Ethereum. On a similar note, I'm also interested in Stakewise right now. I honestly had very little interest in them until the aforementioned Fire Eyes tokenomics, when I realized that if I wanted to operate mini pools, I needed to hold the token. It doesn't hurt that I've been such good friends with Patricio Warthalter for plenty of years, and we both shared an interest in Ethereum becoming a highly robust platform. Patricio does it from an investing angle, and I do it from a community development angle. So anyway, the RPL token is something I participate in, but not something I lose sleep over or would encourage anyone to buy. I do encourage people to hold RETH because it's a valuable ETH derivative. It's a pretty neat twist of events that has become valuable, and I do sell my excess to cover living expenses. I don't have any shame in that. It's market and I'm a participant. In regards to the ODAO, the current design of the system is that a trusted party needs to do a few jobs. The only one I really care about is scrubbing. This is the process of looking at new mini pool contracts and saying, hey, are they legit? Do we follow the rules of the protocol? Then green light to greenlights them to receive 16 Ether deposited in exchange for RETH, if they are. When I committed to run the Oracle node a few years ago, Rocket Pool was something like $2. So I really had no expectation that it would work out like this. The ODAO system is an effective gatekeeper for the network right now, and I do tend to agree that the payment is excessive, but my personal belief is that the correct way to align the payment is to include more ODAO members to further decentralize this vetting scrubbing process. I also acknowledge that it's a short-term solution. I don't know whether it will last months or years, but there's always been acknowledgement new technology and research would bring systems that would eventually deprecate the ODAO. None of this has ever been secret. It's all in plain on chain, and we discuss Oracle DAO duties every 28 days in the Rocket Pool Discord when RPL rewards are issued. So on this point, this is my interjection. I think it happens a lot more frequently than every 28 days. And then Fizz says, I think the only change here is that an uninformed person has suggested that Rocket Pool is centralized because the ODAO gets high emission payout, and then that's just an unrealistic leap. If we receive 5 RPL for the job, Rocket Pool would be no more or less decentralized. I'll be very honest, no one cared about this stuff when RPL was 29 cents, but now that it's successful, everyone wants to point fingers. It smells a bit like greed or jealousy to me, and that's not something I need to worry myself with. And then TLDR, Rocket Pool mini pools are fully decentralized. RPL, not so much, but that's inconsequential. And then like that last line about RPL not being decentralized, that's a whole different discussion. So yeah, this was on Reddit because someone posted the original comments and like, you know, tried to get a discussion going. And Fizz, I think, gave a really lovely articulate response. Then Anthony Sassano was another person who was mentioned in there. And he says, I have the person blocked, but I need to make a public statement here. The guy is digging my name through the mud over the Rocket Pool ODAO stuff for no good reason. As anyone who watches the Daily Gwei knows, I'm planning to donate all my ODAO rewards to the Protocol Guild. All the rewards that I've accumulated so far in the 3 months that I've been an ODAO member went to paying back a loan that I took to join the ODAO. Joining requires putting up 1,750 RPL as a bond. So Anthony Sassano, just to clarify, did have his own 1,750 RPL as a bond that he bought himself, but he misunderstood how to use that 1,750 RPL and he started staking it. So then the team kind of like understood his situation and fronted him the loan basically because they knew that he had the RPL as a bond. So that was what he's referring to here. He said, I just finished paying that loan back. He said, I currently have 220 RPL tokens on my sassel.eth address that I will be donating to the Protocol Guild. Hopefully this clears it up for people. I don't care that the person is attacking me personally. I just want people to know the actual facts. By the way, I should ask the context of the tweet. Obviously, I hit nerve by not naming him in the video, attaching a screenshot in case he deletes. And then people kind of like talked about not feeding the troll, which I think is very, very sensible. There were some comments from the community about all this. So let me see. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I think my links got messed up. Yeah, okay. Nosho says the steel man, the person's argument, he's saying that the holders of RETH are at the mercy of the ODAO because they can make it worthless instantly, and that this aspect is not very well communicated by Rocket Pool, but people should know. So that, of course, when you steel man the argument, you know, you're presenting it in the strongest possible light, and yeah, that technically like is true, right? Like if you have a majority of the ODAO colluding to alter that feed, that oracle, then it could have disastrous consequences. But at that point, you have to think of whether that's not going to happen. So that's up to you, dear listener / viewer, to decide. Also, we have. Sorry, this is going to be happening with all the links. I think we had this comment from Waldorf who says, I think that this is the core issue about the rewards and how they're seen. And Waldorf says, I think this is a core issue. We should define this in text. The ODAO will do the Constitution Charter thing. Rocket scientists can now yell about it on ODAO channels. I will be as soon as Denver Atlas are behind us. So I wanted to get started earlier, but it seems not to be, and conversation without the team to participate is hollow. So I guess, you know, there's so much going on with Atlas, Shanghai, Denver, all that kind of stuff. So once that period is behind us, then Waldorf says that he wants to be talking about it in the ODAO channels and trying to get this stuff about like an ODAO constitution done. So that's really great too. And then we have this we have this comment from there was a really interesting discussion that came up, and we there was this idea of the ODAO not knowing what's happening in the protocol, and then Valdov said maybe we should require the ODAO members to watch Whack Attack's weekly recap. So on Friday I started a new weekly recap episode of everything that's happening in the community, a summary of the top stuff from the last week. So maybe if the ODAO members got a pull up for passing a quiz every week about what's happening in the community, they might be more engaged with that. And then the funny thing is, someone non-fungible Yoakum said, I stand ready to watch Rocket Fuel and do the quiz on behalf of any ODAO member for a small fee, which I thought was funny. Okay, and then let's get it serious for one last second. There was a comment here from a few months ago from Kane from November, when we've had these, like I said, like this is completely in the open. We talk about the ODAO issues almost constantly. Here Kane had a list of the current ODAO duties, such as balance submission, rocket pool price submission, a reward tree generation, voting on and executing contract upgrades, voting on changes to ODAO network parameters, scrubbing of mini pools with incorrect withdrawal credentials, penalizing theft of MEV, voting in and kicking out members of the ODAO. And then with Atlas, there'll be also scrubbing of solo stake migrated mini pools if they don't have that, if they don't set withdrawal credentials properly, and cancelling migration to LEB8s if validator is slashed or balance is less than 32 ETH. So these are just some of the duties that the ODAO does. And then Joe had another post that I couldn't find, where he talked about why we can't do this in a trustless way, because of the way the beacon chain talks to states and stuff, beacon chain states, and there's not the communication channels there between the consensus layer and the execution layer to gather all that information and verify all. So that's one of the reasons why the ODAO exists, basically, is because there's just no way to do it on the beacon chain yet, and there's no way to get Rocket Pool to work, or I guess any decentralized staking solution to work without some kind of watchtower or Oracle node. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking about that there and move on to something else that happened over the weekend. So as you know, there was a discussion going on the DAO forum and on the Discord channel about Invis remaining in the GMC, and it looked like it was set to go to vote. However, Invis, having seen this, said, I hereby resign from the GMC as suggested in this thread. The required transaction to remove myself from the GMC multisig has been created by me, and I will cease involvement in the internal GMC communication channels following this message. The removal of my address also includes the reduction of the required confirmations to confirm the rules mentioned in RPL 10. I agree with the arguments mentioned in favor of my resignation. Taking this as a snapshot vote feels a little bit too far for my liking. I should be able to act on my own before requiring outside enforcement. I hope that I may be able to rejoin the GMC in the future through the normal onboarding process, as I did enjoy my time as a GMC member. I hereby also remove myself from possible consideration for the February 2023 nomination pool, as I would like some more time between my resignation and possible rejoinment. Now, I have to laud Invis for this. I think he did an absolute fantastic job in resigning in the way he did. Last week, we talked about how the vote might be contentious because it was very evenly divided between saying Invis should leave the GMC and Invis should stay in the GMC. And I think the community going through that would have been unnecessarily divisive in this time. So I'm really happy that Invis kind of saw this and took this step. I have said privately, and I've said it publicly too, that when Invis decides to run again for the GMC, I will definitely support him in that and champion his application in that process. So I'm really happy that he's taken this step. I think it's a really mature step, and I'm really it's really great to see that. So good job, Invis. We'll miss you on the GMC, but I hope you are back soon. Okay, and then next we have this comment from Ramana saying that some of the bots on Rocket Watch will stop working from February 18th. It says the summarize chat and financial advice bots will cease function until further notice. This is required due to the overhead caused by the tokenizer conflicting with the scheduled downscaling of the machine used to host Rocket Watch. So that was a message by Invis about that. So some of those bots are not working currently, and maybe they'll start working in the future. So yeah. And then the next thing that happened is, Invis released the apology a couple of weeks ago, and people wanted to know how that might impact him coming back to the community, but we've not had any feedback from the team at all since then. The team, of course, is very busy with Atlas and Shanghai and stuff like that in Denver. So Object made this pop-up. It says, in trading Mrs. Invis, let's all be friends again. In exile since 5th of February 23. And then there's some memes that Invis like posting, and yeah, so that's a nice pop-up. So feel free to mint that. Let's see I haven't minted mine yet, but let's see how many people have minted it already. We have had let me see. 12 of them have been minted, and the price is 0.018. So all the proceeds from that will go to Invis, which is nice. So yeah. So the team hasn't had a response yet, but hopefully, after, I guess, Atlas and Shanghai, maybe that will work. So next we've got a few updates coming in from Joe. Over the weekend, he said, tonight I get to work on 2 things, helping Pteris out with rewards version 5 comparisons so we can make sure we both did it right, work on the smart node solo staker withdrawal credentials change logic, because it's not consistent at the moment. And then Joe goes on to say, I have to get this done before I release version 1.8, and I really want to release version 1.8, so here we are. And then Joe says, in related news, I have declined teaching the MIT Intro to Quantum course this year, and will instead focus on Rocket Pool and Proteus stuff. So over the last years, last year for sure, because I was covering it, Joe was teaching the class at MIT, which was really, really awesome, but he's declined to do that this year because of, I guess, his commitments elsewhere. So that's really cool, and we've got some more updates from Joe here as well, so let's have a look at those. So he says the withdrawals credentials use SHA-256 because reasons, and then there's a gif of a person flipping a table and he says, well, Solar Staker migration is in the smart node works now, so yay. And then he's letting Ethereum core devs know, so that's really great, because I know that was something that Joe was kind of struggling to get work for quite a while, so it's really exciting that all of that is working now. And then after that we have more updates from Joe. He says, so this is more about the Proteus. He said, I just kicked off my first resin print, but I don't want to dampen the mood. And then if we have a look at the resin print, you can see it right here. He says, my first resin print is complete. It's curing now. And then there's an image of the different parts are printed out. He says, I've quite a few lessons learned so far. Once it's done curing, I'll write them up. And then it's like a UV light and looks green through the filter. And then we've got another update from Joe here as well. He says, oh my God. And then he says, I've been struggling trying to get Grafana to have a display of the correct head, source and targets across all 5 clients, and it's been impossible until I found this one obscure option in the Grafana settings. And then it says connect null values, never, always, and threshold. And then he says, and now behold, and then the attestation accuracy graph was working. And then it gives you information about the target accuracy, the source accuracy, and the head accuracy as well. So that was really cool. And he says that's the last piece of the puzzle before I release version 1.8 beta 3. But that's not out yet as far as I know. So yeah. Okay, next we have this call that took place with a Rocket Pool space that was hosted by it wasn't. It says Rocket Pool says Shanghai is getting closer. The hard fork enables ETH withdrawals. It will be a milestone event for the entire Ethereum ecosystem. Join special guests from Allnodes on BloXroute for a panel discussion about what to expect and how you can prepare. So let me give you some information about this. So the team hosted the space on the Shanghai fork featuring BloXroute and Allnodes. It was a great discussion outlining key changes and what to expect for node operators. So this was a summary provided by Mambo-san. He says the topics included the required transition for those that have the old BNS withdrawal credentials 0x0 to the new one 0x1. This requires command line interface and is irreversible, so take care when it's needed. However, if you are a Rocket Pool operator, then your smart node stack already has this set up. This is mainly for the people who are a solo staker migrating solo stake. So he says for Rocket Pool node operators, all withdrawal keys are already 0x1. This is not required, and the smart node stack should take care of just about everything. And it says new skimming and distribution exit commands processes, and skimming is automatic. It happens around every 4 or 5 days, and that'll be the same for people on all nodes as well. And the full withdrawal requires command line interface execution, and smart contracts will handle distributing the appropriate rewards to both the node operators and our ETH. And then there was a talk about the Atlas specific upgrades such as LEB8 nodes, solo staker migrations. Then they said good opportunity particularly for those with old BLS credentials, as migration can be handled in the smart node stack, and currently minipool 16 migrations and growth advantages that will come with LEB8s. And the timeline for Atlas is end of March, early April, and the goal is for it to be prior to the Shanghai fork. So I don't know what the team knows about what's happening with Shanghai, but it seems like the messaging is like end of March seemingly. So hopefully everything can be aligned really well for that. So that was really good. And then if you want to listen to the space, you can of course click on the recording right there and you can listen to it. The next thing is something that's not quite related to Rocket Pool, but Eigenlayer released their first public version of the Eigenlayer white paper. And then you can click on the PDF and then you can read the PDF. And Eigenlayer says it describes the key ideas the core developers are implementing into the first version of the protocol during launch later this year. And then you can read the PDF, and it's already gotten like a lot of likes and a lot of feedback. So that was really good. Jasper in the Rocket Pool community was talking about it and like giving some feedback as he was reading it. And he tweeted out the paper, and then he got into a little bit of he was sharing some of the information. He says like this is from the white paper. It says solo staking in this model, solo stakers who are natively restaked have two options for participating in Eigenlayer. One, solo stakers can opt into AVS on Eigenlayer, for which they can provide validation service directly, or two, solo stakers can delegate Eigenlayer operations to a different entity. So they stake themselves and then they give Eigenlayer responsibility to someone else. So Jasper was saying that he doesn't understand the value of anyone doing two, because the last thing you want to do is put your stake on the line for someone else to do an operation and then potentially get you slashed. So it's kind of interesting. I guess there might be for people who don't have the hardware requirements to run the Eigenlayer locally, they could then maybe sign a transaction that would let someone else or like a trusted third party run that Eigenlayer. So I'm presuming there might be services that spin up that say, hey, delegate your ETH to us for Eigenlayer and we'll run the Eigenlayer services and give you, a percentage of it, and take a percentage of it for ourselves. So that's potentially somewhere that could happen. It says the latter option allows for home stakers with non-upgradable lightweight setups to continue contributing decentralization and censorship resistance to Ethereum while receiving additional rewards through Eigenlayer via delegation to another operator. So yeah, that's the point that they're making as well. But you're literally putting your ETH on the line for someone else's work. So it might be something that people might not take them up on too much unless like services come up around that. So people were then talking about Eigenlayer and stuff and trying to get their head around it. Jasper was sharing some like math formulas of how it's all working and what they're trying to do. It looks kind of like complicated. It says sufficient conditions for crypto economic security, and then there's like formulas and equations that are like really, really long and big. So it's quite complicated to say the least. And here it says, we say that a staker is under collateralized and more than zero, and over collateralized less than zero. And then Noshua had a comment picking errors in their white paper, saying that they have under and over collateralized definitions are flipped. So it's funny that not sure caught that mistake. So that's funny. I like that. Next is something really cool that happened. So in governance, Carl says, "Hi folks, the GMC has executed its first grant payment to KlimaDAO to pay for the carbon offsets for Rocket Pool. There is a retirement message that is put on chain with the offsets, and it would be nice to open it to community discussion here. I asked Klima for a sample, and here's what they gave us." And it says, "Rocket Pool is now the first carbon neutral liquid staking derivative for Ethereum. We believe in the future of Ethereum and its potential to make a real world impact." And then he says, "Any feedback is welcome." Carl then clarified what has actually happened. He says technically they haven't purchased the offsets yet, as we're waiting on us to give them the message that will live on chain forever as part of the process. However, Jasper got quite excited about the news that was already there, and he says today the Rocket Pool GMC sent KlimaDAO payment to make Rocket Pool a carbon neutral protocol. Since before launch, supporting public goods has been a core principle of the protocol and community. Several client teams serve on the ODAO. This contribution is one step further. So the Rocket Pool community, the PDAO, the community DAO, has used the grant as a way of offsetting all carbon from Rocket Pool, which is fantastic. And then it says, Jasper says, check out the KlimaDAO proposal here, authored by the person, and I encourage other protocols to pledge support and contribute towards undoing some of the harm that of the Ethereum proof of work era and sustainable DeFi, handshake, sustainable Earth. So that's really cool. I'm really happy to have been part of agreeing to take this step, and I think it's wonderful. So good job, everyone. Okay, next we have Jesse Pollock of Coinbase. He was tweeting last week about the ODAO stuff, and he retweeted David Hoffman talking about Coinbase's DeFi mullet that we talked about last week. And Jesse says, at Coinbase we believe in decentralization and investing in the underlying platforms that power the open global economy, crypto economy. So that there was a piece of information that I missed last week about this, and that was that Jasper got into Jesse's DMs, and he messaged him saying, "Hey, I'm sure you're aware of the recent Coinbase ventures and Rocket Pool collaborations on the ODAO and for launching validators. I was wondering if you'd be interested in joining the Rocket Pool community for a Twitter space co-hosted by myself and Darren Langley, the Rocket Pool's general manager." So that was Jasper sent out the message, and then he got a reply, and just a small screenshot from Jasper saying, Jesse was saying, "would love to join." So I think that's something that is probably being planned. I'm not sure exactly what state that is in, but that would be really exciting to see that happening. Okay, next we have another Twitter space that took place from OKX. And this was a really interesting Twitter space because there were people from different staking communities involved in this. Rocket Pool, of course, Darren from Rocket Pool was there. And then we had people from OKX and Lido. OKX were hosting it, sorry, Lido was there as well. Let me see if I can just find this comment with information. It was quite a cordial discussion, and Walshy, who's representing Lido, gave a huge shout out to the Rocket Pool community and saying that the community is one of the best aspects of Rocket Pool. And then he was talking about how there's the difference is that there's Coke and Pepsi basically, and Rocket Pool, like they're both there and they both offer different things to their customers. So that was something really interesting. Let's move on from that. Next we have sorry, just a moment. Let me get my link set up. Yeah, and then one of the things that was talked about in the call was that OKX wants to integrate Rocket Pool. So I'm not exactly sure how they're going to be doing that, but it seems like more and more protocols want to be integrating Rocket Pool now, which is really, really awesome. Okay, and then next we have this update from Gravity, who have now rebranded to Gravita to avoid collisions. I guess there might be other protocols with name Gravity out there, and Munchkin gave an update. He works with Gravita. He's saying we are finalizing our seed round and we've got a lot of support from big names, so we want to be able to continue building for the foreseeable future. And just today we solved our last big technical issue pre-launch, and big kudos to 0x4nax for that. And Munchkin says we are very close to code freezing and we will deploy to Go early so you can play with the front end by next week. And then people were quite excited about this thing. And then Munchkin says we'll be in Denver, so we want to have a testnet and a public repo by then. And after Denver, we'll have an audit round, and then we'll be able to launch, and our ETH will be available from the start. So Gravity is a fork of Liquidity, as far as I know, and it's a lending platform. And I think they also have the stable coin that goes with that, but I'm not exactly sure of what the full product will look like. But I think it's kind of related to that, but I'm not exactly sure. But a lot of people I know are very excited about this product. So Nosho then asks who's doing the audit, and Munchkin says I can't share that at the moment. And Nosho asks, is the course open source yet? And Munchkin says another thing, our fee design is different from Liquidity, where you pay a 0.5% fixed rate regardless of the duration. With the borrower, with us, the borrower pays a pro rata fee that caps out at 0.5% at 6 months, starting from minimum of 1 week. So at worst, this is as good as Liquidity, but hopefully it will also attract short-term borrowers. And then Munchkin says the code is not open source yet, but I do plan on doing a final clearing and publishing by next week. Pateris then says that Liquidity seems like they want to integrate our ETH as well, and Munchkin says I don't know about that. So there's a POAP for meeting the Gravita team in Denver, so I think that'll be one for people to connect. And then Pateris shares the screenshot from Sam from Liquidity. He says I'd love to connect with the Rocket Pool team in Denver. So there's definitely discussions happening with all these different protocols behind the scenes, so it's really interesting to see. We have this article from Cointelegraph, who have a weekly, I think, market update, and like they do technical analysis. So for the first time they did technical analysis on the RPL chart. Of course, I'm just relaying what they said. This is not financial advice. In the thing it says Rocket Pool RPL USDT, and it says RPL has been uptrend in the last few days. The price has not broken below the 20-day EMA, which is around $45. It's a bit bigger than that now. It's a bit higher than that now. I think around $47, indicating strong demand to buy at lower levels. Basically the argument is that if we go up from here, pass through the resistance at 57, then we can go up to 74. On the downside, we have psychological support at 50, which we've since gone through, and then the EMA support, a 20-day EMA at $45. I think we bounced off that, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm building support around that area at the moment, so it depends on how you follow TA. But it's interesting that Cointelegraph are now starting to give some TA on the Rocket Pool, and they're giving short to medium term price target of $74. So I used to read this TA report quite a lot, and it kind of made me realize that TA is my favorite quote is astrology for crypto bros. So yeah, take it however you want. Some people really like TA, some people don't like it here. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, I think, at one point. Thomas shared this tweet from DC Investor saying I hate it when this happens. And what is in the tweet? Well, if we have a look at the tweet when it decides to open, yes, here it is. DC Investor says, I hate when this happens, and there's a screenshot of him trying to buy RPL on Coinbase as a limit buy. He set the price for $44.47 for 500 RPL, and it was only filled 44%. So there's still a big chunk of RPL that he was waiting to buy that he wasn't able to buy because the price didn't stay at that point for long enough. So I guess he kind of bought the bottom of that move, but yeah, that didn't work out for him. But the reason why I'm covering this is because a DC Investor is like an OG ETH Finance community member. He's like really famous in the NFT space, and he has 225,000 followers on Twitter. So it was really amazing that he's also buying RPL now. And I says, welcome to the gang. Pop by trading on the Rocket Pool Discord. We'd love to have you. Marceau says, welcome to the club. And then Bossy asked, are you going to be a node operator? So people are already like sending messages of support and like welcome. And hey, I hope DC takes us up on it, because we're a really cool community. It'd be really nice to have him around. Finally, on a couple of things I just want to finish up on is the first thing is this comment by Superfizz. And he's talking about something slightly off topic, but it's kind of relevant to what's happening with like the RPL in the public space. So Superfizz says, lots of people are talking about Swice recently, which is the Stakewise token. He says, I haven't really dug a position yet. I want to see version 3 on testnet before committing. I guess I need to see it working to fully understand it. I do anticipate it being another powerful force for decentralization similar to Rocket Pool, but yeah, I see buying a ton of these utility tokens as a high-risk gamble rather than an investment. If you're buying these tokens, I urge you to keep a healthy portion of your hold in something like Ether, and don't assume any of these platforms will go big. So I think this is a really important advice for people who are on the cusp of buying into Rocket Pool, RPL, or any other token really, because of the hype cycle that we're in, with this idea that the token's going to go big. Now, I of course subscribe to the idea that we will see like astronomical growth for RPL in the coming years, compared to ETH, let alone the US dollar. However, like if you are just getting into this narrative now, like it might be that you should be patient and like really understand what it is you're trying to get into. So I really like this message by Fizz, even though it's about Stakewise token, because a whole lot of people have been kind of making the argument that we missed the move on RPL. It looks like Stakewise is going to be like the next decentralized staking platform. Let's move into Stakewise instead. And Fizz is just saying like, be careful. There's no guarantee that you're going to make anything with this, and yeah, just be careful. So I just wanted to echo Fizz's words of caution in this matter, and like kind of generalizing it a little bit. And yeah, just be careful. Being careful is always good. And finally, I wanted to end with this news that the UK Rocket Pool meetup is happening this coming weekend, and people are getting ready with like their hotels and like their travel plans for meeting up in Nottingham. And Spaceman Daddy says city centre's fine, Nottingham's close enough walking, so that doesn't matter. And Reload is getting sorted out, Rahman is getting sorted out, a whole lot of people are getting their plans booked up, and yeah, that's happening this weekend. I'm really envious. I really wish I could be going, because I think it's going to be really good fun, but of course I'm too far, and I'll be going to Denver the following week. So maybe next time I'm in England, I can like get word out and we can have a Rocket Pool meetup. I think that would be really awesome. But yeah, if you are in England, if you're watching this, there's a meetup happening on, I think, Saturday next week. So get in touch with Ramana, with Spaceman Daddy, with Reloaded, and they'll definitely be able to give you information on what's going on and how that's going to go. So on that note, I'm going to finish this episode, and I will see you all tomorrow. I hope you all have a lovely week ahead of you. Bye.